All right, Rusty, welcome back. Welcome back to another season of Survivor in the New Era. How's it going?
Doing very well, my friend. Happy to be back. I know we did not do a normal season review with 43, but I'm thrilled to be here to talk about probably a little bit of 43. And then also, we've already watched the first episode of season 44. It's crazy. I think
Hmm.
there was more screen time with the doctors than there were Jeff Probst. It's wild. It's Survivor 44. It's a new era for sure.
Right. I mean, this might be a new. I kind of don't mind this as a format going forward if you want to do that. Just like one, we get one episode, we get a taste of it, and then we talk about it, and also wrap up last season.
Yeah,
I thought about doing
I think it's a
a
good format.
30. I thought about doing a 43 review by myself, and I was like, nah, I don't feel like it. But really, when 43 finished, I was like, "Oh man, we got to talk about this because it was my mind was blown. That was literally the biggest like reaction my family's had to any winner ever. Like, we for some reason we were applauding, which is like because it was like so unexpected, the most surprising winner reveal in a long time, and it's like he's the long shot. He's like the zero vote finalist person.
Yeah,
And it's
easy. Yeah.
like we were even after hearing like he was really good. Like there was a really good final tribal, and going into that, I was like, it's gonna be Owen probably or Cassidy, but I was
hmm
completely off. And it was just like as the votes were coming in, I was like as soon as you see one vote, it's like okay, wow, this is actually it's not. It's like he's a serious contender suddenly, and then they just kept coming. Gabler, and then the winner of Survivor 43, Alla Gabler.
Well, and it was very much for me, anyways, like when Marianne won, where in the earlier episodes, she was this incredibly enthusiastic, passionate person that brought lots of smiles and laughs. And then eventually, for many folks, she just became annoying. She just wouldn't stop with the stories and being kind of just overly enthusiastic around camp and certainly in the confessionals and stuff like that. But then as it got deeper in the game and you kind of get into that, final few contestants, and then certainly when it's final three and you go into the final tribal, I'm like, she has a really good shot. And then she go through final tribal, she goes through the whole speech about having the idol that no one knew. I'm like, Marianne's gonna win this, right? And then she won. And then similarly, over the course of the season with Gabler in the confessionals, and he kept saying, I think they literally named an episode "Hiding in Plain Sight." And I'm like, oh, what a goofball, man! He's fun. He makes for good TV, good contestant, oldest guy out there. He's having a good time. This is great. I could see him making it to the end, but no chance he wins. And then when you get to the end with Cassidy, Owen, and him, like you were saying, I thought certainly Owen or Cassidy had it. Like just no question. As long as they speak to what they did well, and kind of gloss over some of the maybe their less not as finer moments. But I feel like Owen just completely buckled when he got to Final Tribal. And I feel like Cassidy did a good enough job speaking her piece, but Gabler, he was making him laugh. He did exactly what I think is very challenging to do on Survivor at Final Tribal is catering your speech to the jury. I think a lot of people go in with this speech in their mind and almost like a script of what they want to say, but they're oftentimes not listening to the questions being asked of them, and they're not playing into that and adapting their speech and their tone and what they say to those players that are the jury. But I thought Gabler did that phenomenally. And I feel like Owen and Cassidy just, for whatever reason, just couldn't pull it together. And Gabler just he did it. I mean, he called himself like the Alla Gabler and all this goofy stuff, and everyone was laughing. And
Hmm.
yeah, I mean, I was texting you. I remember I was like, "Is Gabler gonna win this?" Like, and then we were texting after he was announced, and it was just like, "Zach, I can't believe this. We got to talk about this." And then we just
Hmm.
never got around to it
Yeah.
because life got in the way. But here we are, man. Yeah, it was crazy, crazy ending.
The thing is, he was intentional. Like when he's describing what he did, it all seemed intentional. Like with a lot of the zero
Yeah,
vote finalists or like the character person that loses at the end, usually there's not the same self awareness there. They'll be like saying they're thinking they played the game completely differently than they actually played it, and then the jury's not gonna be receptive to that at all. But Gabler had this to some extent a self awareness about like I'm gonna he the big move he talked about was with Ellie, and that was like the merge vote, and he's like I laid low. He's not gonna act like he's been pulling the strings like all along. It's like, no, this is what I did. And it was intentional. I was very vocal, and it was like, oh wait, I need to take a step back here, and he just went under the radar from there.
And not to mention the fact that and I know Rob has a podcast and a few other folks have talked about this to this point, but like he gave the money away. I'm not sure
Mm-hmm.
if we've confirmed or validated whether or not he's done that, but
Getting the receipts.
whether he was going into the show with that in mind, like, hey, if I get to the end, I'm certainly going to do this, or if it was literally just during that one confessional where he mentioned it. And then towards the end, because even Jeff, he's like, Jeff, I have something to say, or whatever he said. And Jeff, like, you could tell was like panicked, like, what are you about to do? And then when he said that, it was like, what?
Mm-hmm.
What?
There's no way he didn't decide that before he came out, right? Because if I was his family, I'd be pissed. I'd be like,
Yeah.
go out and win
Like,
that.
Dad,
Win
what are you
this thing and
doing?
come
Yeah.
back, and then you hear him on the show talking about actually I'm giving it all away, every cent. Yeah.
Crazy. Yeah.
But like,
Um,
look, Owen was he had no agency in the game. That's the only thing. He was just like constantly blindsided by vote after vote. He's the whole Charlie Brown story he kept telling. That's definitely what it was. And then
but I feel like he could have played that up better, you know? Like I feel like he could have owned that in a way and told it like he was this underdog. And I just felt like I
but
felt bad for him because in Final Tribal, I just felt like he was like, yeah, guys, like I was just a beaten little dog. Like it was a
but
tough road for me, and
underdog
you
can only
know,
get you
and
so far. Especially now, I don't think people will vote for the people that didn't really have control
yeah, I
over
just
what
feel like he could
happened.
have spun it in a way where it seemed more like he was a winner, even though he wasn't maybe deserving of it or not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think he really just buckled under and he struggled to make his case, which I felt bad for him.
And Cassidy just wasn't checking off the boxes they were looking for, like
Yeah,
what they wanted to say. And obviously, there were some egos in the jury too. Who feel like Cassidy was like the person they could have gotten out at multiple times, and they were just like, we'll keep her around, and like she might have been a part of votes, but they were more pivotal, so they don't want to give her the win. But I do think
yeah,
Gabler deserved it in that spot.
hmm
Though Jesse and Cody were the stars of the season for sure.
really were. Yeah,
Was so close, and I thought it'd be interesting to have if Jesse ended up being the winner. Literally, it was a fire making challenge away, but he would be like an actual really good winner, like which would be a break from like the new era of Survivor. Been a lot of like under the radar, low key winners, or like low key until the very end winners. So he would have been a very different winner for sure.
do you think if at all his relationship with Cody and not having Ponderosa to kind of mend that fractured situation, do you think that would have played into how Final Tribal would have gone had Jesse ended up winning and gone to Final Three?
Well,
Do you think that would have had an impact to him winning at all?
no, no, especially based on Cody, like from what we've heard, like and how he was talking even in the season and that reunion, which wasn't long after. It was like a few days after. At that point, he had been blindsided. Obviously, he was crushed in the moment, but he was able to like get over it pretty quickly. Like I think he honestly would have voted for Jesse to win anyway, even though it was
Mm-hmm.
brutal. And that episode is like one of my favorite episodes in a long time. The Cody getting voted out episode. I was like, yeah, it was really good. Uh,
Yeah, it's crazy gameplay.
Overall, just a really wild season. It's like kind of all over the place, and like I actually really appreciate the like unexpected result at the end. How it's like we're
Yeah,
following all these heavy hitters, like it's Jesse, Cody, Carla. It's like it's gonna be one of these coming out on top, and then it's just like boom, Alec Gabler at left after the dust settles. It's I like it a
yeah,
lot.
yeah. I mean, I think that's just a reflection of how the game has evolved into this new era. It's just you really can never anticipate anything. You can never write a script for it because it is really just that unexpected. And certainly
Mm-hmm.
that ending is a reflection of that, I feel like. But yeah,
Yeah.
it's good stuff. Great season.
So now going into this episode, in the new season, Survivor 44. How do we feel about the premiere? How did you feel about it?
I thought it was one of the most exciting episodes of Survivor that I've watched in a long time, certainly from a premiere side of things, and just unprecedented amount of things happened. I mean, with the doctor on screen, the tribal council with a limited number of votes based on people that were there, a shot in the dark finally was played successfully. I
Right.
mean, it was a wild episode, and I was telling you before we even started recording, I don't even think I could name three contestants outside of Bruce off the top of my head at this point. I know that'll come here in time, but it's still a very entertaining start to the season, and I cannot wait to watch more. How about yourself?
Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, all the so Bruce ends up getting removed very quickly, just immediately. The first thing in the challenge, he just bangs his
Oh
head,
my gosh.
and just you love these brutal slow mos of the blood and everything.
It was like
Um,
someone uncorked a wine bottle. Like he went down and stood up, and it was just
yeah,
pouring
Jeff's
out of
like,
his head.
just like, you okay, Bruce? He's like, yeah, and just freaking blood. Okay, all right.
And then he just takes a bath in a giant pile of mud. Like I was just like, oh my gosh, that's gonna get infected. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, one of
Jeez.
those classic. The doctor was like immediately like, "Oh yeah, he's good to go now," and then it's just like hours later,
Oh.
he's not good to go. All right, he's gonna remove him from the game. And now with
Mm.
is that a looming concern still with Matthew? You think like they glossed over his injury, and he had like a toe
I
thing
think
going
it's
on, but is it gonna come back and sneak attack us? He gets removed too.
I don't think he'll get removed. I think if his inability to compete in challenges is going to send his butt home fast because they're going to keep losing challenges.
Mhm.
But I don't think, I mean, unless he starts having severe pain. I mean, we've seen a dislocated shoulder before. Stephanie, many seasons ago, in that first opening challenge, she popped it out, popped it right back in. We've seen injuries like that happen, and people continue to play. I don't think he'll be removed from the game. I just think he's probably going to go
Mhm.
out a lot sooner than he anticipated because he can't compete. And he's a beast of a guy. They need his strength. I just don't think he's going to be able to compete at the level he needs to, which I still, Zach, help me understand. What is on top of that mountain of rocks that he needed to climb out there? The slippery
That's
rocks. Like,
the
why? Why would
stupidest
you do that?
thing. Like, I love how you can really like. It was pretty raw his confessional about it. Like, I could have just gone home for something so stupid and like yeah. Imagine if you did. You went home because you were just climbing a rock. Like freaking, you could have died though. Like, you could have died
He is
falling from there.
so lucky that one, he didn't like cut open one of the sides of his legs falling and just like not bleed out, but like medical have to come on the scene immediately and patch him up, or hitting the back of his head on the rock. Like that's like instant death.
Right.
He is so
Right.
lucky, so lucky.
Have you heard about Jeff Probst's new podcast? The official
Yes, and
Survivor
I was
podcast.
hoping to listen to it. I was hoping to listen to it before we recorded the night. Have you listened to it yet?
Yeah, I haven't listened to it. I've heard a couple things, but I want to listen to it at some point. It's called On Fire with Jeff Probst. And
I love to see it.
but yeah, I heard somewhere that he was like, "Oh, we would know," because Rob Sesternito was talking about why wouldn't the producer just tell him to get down? Like this, what good are you getting out of this? Like just get off of that rock. And Jeff
Yeah,
Probst is like, "Oh, we would never tell him to not climb the rock," you know. Like in the spirit of the game, it's like an adventure, But it's like if he fell and died, then it's like, what are you getting out of it, Jeff?
yeah. That is a multi-million-dollar lawsuit against CBS that they never come back from. Like,
We never see the season
one,
come out. That's the sad thing about that.
yeah,
On top of the death. Well, you know what's crazy is that one time I forget what it was. There's Survivor in some other country, like a really like obscure Survivor that no one really talks about. But like someone actually died during the filming of it, and they made like a sad montage in the episode, and then they just kept it pushing with the season. It was so funny.
what?
Like
This is a real
it's
thing?
like Survivor Romania or something like random like that. Yeah, someone died, like had a heart attack while filming or something, and then
This was
they
a season that they scrapped?
no, it did not scrap. They they just played it like a montage, like a sad montage, and then moved on to the
Oh,
next episode. Like that's
yeah.
just a part of the season, which is
Huh.
like, it just wouldn't fly on the U.S. version. They just wouldn't let it happen. It's like
No.
imagine something
No.
like that happens. Like you film a whole season, something like that happens towards the end. So just you lose the whole
Mm.
season, and yeah,
Well,
I don't
and
know.
yeah, I would challenge what Jeff said about that because I remember many seasons ago, I don't know if it was Winners at War or a season prior, but Tyson talked about how, like on his first season, they can go out in the wild and kind of do whatever they want or go cliff diving or something like that. But then as they got deeper in the show, the producers said, hey, you can't go to that side of the island. Like there's an imaginary fence. You can't go past this line for player safety purposes. We gotta keep an eye on you guys. Don't go do that.
Hmm.
So then Matt over here is climbing Mount Everest in the middle of the ocean,
Well, there still might be
potentially
in a
cracks
line.
this.
There still might be a line, like just like stay on this side of the
Yeah,
beach, but could jump off of rocks and stuff. it's,
yeah, I don't know. Just kind of
there's
bizarre.
it's like surely you wouldn't just go climb rocks and put your life at risk for no reason, but he
Yeah,
did
it doesn't
that.
make sense.
He was saying that he was like frustrated with himself, like how
He
am
was
I how
crying, the
I'm how
poor
am I gonna
guy.
have any more adventuring if I'm just going out and hurt myself with my adventures or whatever. Yeah,
Poor guy.
but he seems like fun. So he's like one of those ones where I think he could have a deep run, or they could blindside us and like he gets removed from something, like because he had like a foot injury too, and that's the kind of thing that'll just like creep in on you and it'll be like, actually, you can't stay in the game. Your freaking toe is gonna fall off or something.
Yeah, we're gonna have to amputate your toe here in a few minutes. So
But did you hear the main headline from Jeff's podcast? Have you heard anything from it?
nothing. Please enlighten me.
So Jeff said that Bruce has an open invitation to come back on any other season.
Okay, I
So
did hear this. I did. Yeah,
okay,
no, yeah, I did hear this, which I think is he's very deserving of it. However, I feel like doing this once opens up kind of the floodgates,
well,
right? Because what
people are
about
gonna start
Jackson?
hurting
A couple.
themselves the first day.
Well, yeah, that too. But what about Jackson, right? With the medication situation last
Well, that was
season,
like his
right?
own. That was like his own doing. The one I'm talking about is freaking Pat from David versus Goliath on the freaking. He got medevac day one
Oh,
from the
the
boat.
back thing?
Yeah,
He
like
was the
falling on
back
the boat.
situation, right? Yeah.
Remember,
Yeah,
it
I don't
was it
know.
was like Nick was looking like the likely person to get voted out, and then Pat got removed from the game. It's like Pat
That's
probably
right.
feels robbed now.
Yeah, that's a difficult thing to do once and not feel like you need to make up for lost time for other contestants that had similar situations. But I feel like going
Yeah.
forward, if that were to happen, like he's got to honor that, right? Because people could just point
He
to
might just like
Bruce.
Bruce a lot. I don't know. Um,
Well, I'll tell you what though, I really like Bruce. Great personality. He seemed
I
like
liked Bruce too,
um
and in the preseason, I really did not. I thought he was like so boring in the preseason. I'm like, I'm not going anywhere near that like as a pick, because it was like he was like very different when he went on the island actually, but
yeah.
he was there and then he wasn't. All right, and then
Yep.
the big thing of the second half here is this freaking mess of a tribal council.
Oh my
One
gosh.
one vote ended up being left, and that was for Maddie to go home.
Yeah.
Uh, so we had two shots in the dark played, and now like from seeing exit interviews, it makes a little more sense. Like it
Hmm.
makes a little more sense than what we got, which was a lot more confusing. So you got Jamie used a shot in the dark, which on the episode seemed completely out of nowhere, and just complete paranoia. But
Yeah.
apparently she was like the default vote, like more so than Lauren was, where like her name was actually
Okay.
out there a lot. So for some reason on the episode they chose to portray it as like it was complete paranoia, and like just
Well, it made for a great edit because when she said like out of nowhere from like the audience perspective, she's like, "I'm gonna play my shot in the dark," and then she had this like psychotic look on her face,
yeah.
like just super excited about it. I was like, "Wait, what? Why are you doing this?"
I feel like they did Jamie dirty with that though, because it looks like she's just like acting like completely paranoid for no reason, It's like, what are you
Yeah.
wasting your shot in the dark for? But like, she actually had a good reason to think she was going home. And then Matthew using his shot in the dark was apparently more of like people seem to think, based on Maddie's exit interview, there was more of his plan to not want to vote one way or another, and so by playing the shot in the dark, then you remove your vote from the
He didn't take a
situation.
side, basically.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
people think that's
Huh.
actually what it was, like his plan. Um,
Okay.
and then basically from Maddie's exit interview, she seems to indicate that Matthew basically told Brandon that he should play his idol, and so then when Brandon plays his idol at Tribal, um, Maddie's the only vote left because Lauren chose to not vote because she got the. That's the whole other thing. She got a bank your vote advantage, where she could choose to not vote this tribal council and then get an extra vote the next one.
Yeah. Which I like the advantage. I really do. It's just wild that it was played during this already crazy
Hmm.
tribal council where no one was voting.
Well, Lauren lied saying that she had lost her vote at the next tribal
Yeah.
council, but so she basically had to not vote in order to keep that story up, and by not voting, she then got to bank the extra vote.
Hmm.
Um, but that was another interesting moment where Claire, like during the challenge, just whispers over to Matthew. She's like,
Yeah.
so yeah, did your person who came back from the island?
Did they have anything? Because like my guy came back with a piece of paper that said you lose your vote, and that's when Matthew started thinking, well, wait a second, why didn't my person have anything to show me?
Yeah.
You know. Which then I feel like for future players, if they do have like, hey, we're get a person on a boat, go to an island, do, the prisoner's dilemma type of thing or whatever. I feel like that further complicates future players' mindset of like, oh gosh, well if I don't tell anyone, what if one of the other contestants tells
Yeah.
my team that it's just just makes the game that much more chaotic.
It's hard, yeah, because like you can't. It's hard to just be honest with people because so often you hear that someone has an advantage and it's immediately like, oh, we need to target them
Yeah.
just based off of that alone because it's one factor you can't control. Uh, and so like when you're lying, you have to be really. But it's like, yeah, even when you're lying, even if you have a good story, you could have Claire come in on the sidelines and expose it because of how Matt did it on his tribe. There's a lot you can't really
Yeah.
account for. I liked how Lauren, everybody had their different methods. Um, two tribes had drawing like six for who would go to the island. It seemed like one tribe had people that wanted to go, so they were going for the longest stick. One tribe had people that didn't want to go, so they were going for the shortest stick would go. And then Lauren,
Yeah.
they put together rocks, and she was like, "I'm the person who put together the rocks, so I gave myself the rock to go to the island because she wanted to go."
Yeah.
Uh, so, what do you think of the modified Shipwheel Island? It's not save your vote, lose your vote. It's you pretty much always have a risk. It's like you draw a rock or draw a piece of parchment that says you lose your vote or you got an advantage, but then you can draw again and have another shot, a 1 and 2 shot then of getting the advantage or getting another lose your vote or you'll lose your vote for 2 tribal councils.
To me, it almost seems like backyard survivor. Like if you and I had a bunch of friends, we wanted to kind of make our own game show and develop our own. Hey, we have to send a bunch of buddies to an island to kind of split people up and go on this journey. Like something you and I would like whiteboard out. Like it just doesn't seem like okay, Survivor 44. This is building upon the foundation of the prisoner's dilemma and prior seasons of this new era. It just seems like maybe they started with that and then they moved up to the prisoner dilemma. I mean, the long and short of what I'm trying to say is it almost seems like a step back. Like it seems like too elementary.
Right. Well,
I don't know. It's kind of weird. I'm not really against it necessarily. It just kind of seems like I don't know.
I'm only for it in the sense that it's not what we had before, and it was already like becoming like
Yeah.
rote, and like everybody already knew what people were going to the island, what they were gonna do, how everything plays out. So I didn't want to have more of that. So if this is the only way to not have more of that, have something a little different, that's okay. But at the same time, there was no social part of it. Like the whole point is they're like supposed to meet up, get to know each other, and then make a
Yeah.
decision on like something that will affect each other potentially. But this time it's just like get to know each other, and then you'll each have your own random draw, basically.
Yeah, it's kind of yeah, unceremonious for sure. And I think because of that, I'd almost just rather not even have it at all, you know?
Mm.
Like sending three people to the random island thing. But I don't know. I get it. They need to have something like that, I guess.
So there were supposedly three different advantages. We didn't get to see what the third one would be, but we saw Lauren's bank your vote. The other one is the inheritance advantage, which is seemingly the successor to knowledge is power, I would assume. It's
Yeah. Until that's
um
played, I'm still a little fuzzy on the details of that one. But I do like the
so
banker vote.
supposedly you do it when you go up to vote. You'll decide to play your inheritance advantage, and then any advantages or idols that are played in that tribal council you will inherit after the fact.
Okay.
So you have to know that people are going to be playing advantages or idols and play it beforehand, and then get whatever is played. Um, which could get crazy. My question is like if certain things have expiration days, if like it's like previous seasons, if they use it on their like last chance, they're able to use the advantage. You still inherit it. How does that work? I guess we haven't seen
Yeah.
anything that's like you can only use it up to this point yet,
Yeah.
but
Yeah, I don't know.
but it's like an interesting thought is if this was I think Sarah had this advantage. If she has
Mhm.
an idol, she can say I'm going to use the inheritance advantage, and then she goes and plays her idol, and then will she then inherit her own idol? And it's like a double
No,
idol
I
basically.
don't think she'll inherit. No, I don't think she'd inherit it back. I think it no, I don't think that that would
I
happen.
think
Although
it
I could
would.
see her
I think she would. You
I don't know
inherit
about
any. It says you inherit all advantages and idols played at the tribal council. So if you play the idol during that tribal council after deciding to use the inheritance, then you'll get your idol back.
no. I don't think she can play it, be immune, and then also get it back. Like almost like a 2-for-1 idol. I don't think it's going to work like that. I could see her though using it at a time if she's still in the game where it's the last time to use idols and everything else. She uses the inheritance idol to basically negate other people's use of it, and then she basically just inherits souvenirs. So she can't use those things anymore, but it's an opportunity to negate everyone else's
But it
use
wouldn't
of them
negate it.
at a very
It wouldn't negate it. I don't think. I think how it works is everything will be played still, and then it's like the following day the stuff just like shows up like a
oh,
is
just
yours.
shows up.
I think that's how it would work. That's how it
Okay.
sounds to me.
See, we need those like breaking the fourth wall, Jeff Probst to whisper in our ear moments during the
We
show to kind of really give us the lowdown of like, how does this work practically, Jeff? Because this is a little confusing.
we got a frame of like the parchment, but I didn't look at it. Um,
Yeah,
but
yeah, I don't
that's how
know.
it makes
I
it
guess we'll see.
seem. It's like,
That would make sense. That makes sense to me now,
but
the way you described it.
that's the exact situation where I'd be like, can you do that, or is it limited to one round before that? Because otherwise, if you inherit stuff on the last time it can be played, then it's like what you have stuff that was already like limited to the tribal before.
Yeah.
So maybe there's a cutoff of like you can only use this up to final six, since idols can be played up until final five or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe, but it
It's gonna make things interesting.
could get crazy.
Yeah.
Now the other thing, advantage is the bird cage. All right, there's a bird cage in the camp, and this is what Brandon ends up getting. But for some reason, they were all looking for it, like as it like they're paired up looking for it, their whole tribe. And
Mm-hmm.
Brandon finds it, but Maddie immediately could tell like he was doing something suspicious over there. And Brandon at first was not going to tell her, but then he's like, you know what, she might have noticed, and then it would not be good for me. So let me tell her. And Maddie's
Yeah.
like, well, hold on, maybe we don't have to tell everybody. And he's like, no, I'm going to tell everybody. He, and this is before he even looks at what the advantage is. I think that was a bad mistake there, because he goes over there
Yeah.
and he's like, okay, so there's immunity idol, and then there's this like orange medallion that you could pretend to be an idol. Okay, great. The producers are like, yeah, you ruined that one for us.
Yeah, I think it certainly ruined a Survivor moment that they tried to tee up and be something special. I think that's like literally the worst outcome they probably could have gotten. Because I wish he would have told Maddie, because I feel like they could have at least had somewhat of an alliance earlier in the game, and he could have given her the fake idol, her knowing full well it's fake, and then he could have had one, and they could have played it up like the Birdcage had too. We have both of them,
Yeah,
and then use that as power through the rest of the game. But Matthew said it best of like, it's not power if everyone knows about it, you know?
right.
And I think
Is
that was a
immediately.
pretty,
Yeah.
yeah. And so I think that was a really big mistake for Brandon early in the game. So,
It was an immediate target. Like I thought it
yeah.
was. I thought it was a good pivot to show it to her, even though he did like this weird attempt where he was like, "Oh, it was right here under these like just like random leaves." Like tried to re-hide it, like
Yeah.
find it again, but
Like, dude, you're caught in the act. Just show her
yeah,
at that point, you know?
yeah, they definitely could have bonded over that. But of course, that's really what just ended up turning them against each other, and then she got that one vote to be voted out.
Yeah, it's kind of a
I
shame.
don't know why they were thinking, or it seemed like a bunch of them were thinking that it could be a tribe thing. You really think Survivor's putting like this thing in a bird cage that's like for the tribe?
Yeah.
Like we haven't seen that since like that's like an Pearl Islands or All Stars thing, where it's like they'd have a freaking they had a chest hidden like for your
Yeah.
tribe. Like
Just
they
a
don't
bunch.
do that nowadays. Like
Guys, maybe it's a jar of peanut butter in there that we can all share. Like, what?
like
No.
in the new era of Beware advantages and stuff, it's definitely something. And
Yeah.
the way they wanted to pay off, which might still pay off in the other tribes, is definitely like someone strolls up and the bird cage is open and the thing is missing, and what the heck, someone took it.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
someone tweeted, one of like the Survivor journalists tweeted that they should like they should take the idol and then like replace it, put like a bag of rocks in there, just like fill it with rocks, close it back up.
Oh, yeah. That would be awesome, and then no one would really know, and other people could still be searching, continue to
Hmm.
create panic and chaos around it. Yeah, that'd be cool. I like that.
But I do like the idea of people just stumbling across the open bird cage, and it's like the mystery of who found
Yeah.
it.
Yep.
And we've got a couple more chances to see if someone will actually get this orange fake idol in secrecy and try to do something with it.
I
And
think they will.
yeah, see how that goes. But Brandon, if it was because Matthew told him to use the idol, so be it. But I was gonna say that it was still a good move to play the idol now, because that's only just gonna continue to be a target on your back and be no good for you.
Yeah.
I almost like, if I were to get something like that, I would be like, yeah, I'm gonna use it immediately, because it's gonna haunt me. It's gonna tank my game for there.
Yeah. No doubt.
What else was new? Was there anything else new to the
I mean, the thing was just the number of times that they stopped challenges for medical reasons. I mean, certainly Bruce, but then I mean later on,
Brandon?
Brandon
Yeah.
was just like, "Hey, I'm not feeling well." Which I read this somewhere. I came across it. I'm not sure how accurate it was that they were doing that challenge for like 3 hours or something like that
Hmm.
before they involved medical. Based on the edit, it was very difficult to get the indication that it was actually they were doing things for 3 hours. So it's tough to really know, but
Hmm.
um, in those heats and temperatures, I'm sure it was not easy.
Yeah.
But yeah, outside of that, I don't
Oh,
really know. I think it was more.
they changed the sweat and savvy. Okay, so sweat and savvy. Why is sweat and savvy back? First of all, I was like, this is not something we need to have like every season. Just the sweat or savvy
No.
choice, and
Let these guys just
it's
go to their
always
camp.
it's
Like, come
always two
on.
guys that's just got to brute force this task, or there's a little brain teaser, and I mean, it was interesting that there was like the tribe that placed better got to have the first choice of it. and then the by default the other tribe would have to do the other one.
Hmm.
I almost don't like it in the sense that it will always be like the sweat task will always be two big guys doing a thing, and it's like
Yeah.
it's immediately going to be the two strongest guys. Like the women are never going to do it, uh, and like it's going to be like the same kind of people doing it for the most part, and so that's kind of like a disadvantage.
Predictable.
I'm
It's just
surprised there
lame.
wasn't more of a disadvantage for them, like being isolated like that, because we found a couple seasons where the two people doing the sweat task end up bonding pretty early on. You know, they have all that time to just talk by themselves for a while, and I mean, we'll see. So far, Brandon and Matthew seem to be locked in together.
Yeah. I
So
mean, I think
it's
that
like I
what was
if
most entertaining about that was just them thinking that this is easy, just coconuts, pulling this bag back and
yeah.
forth, and then like halfway through, they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is rough."
If I were not in that pair, I would see that as like, oh, I'm sure those two are gonna work together now because that's just by the nature of it. So that would put a
Yeah.
target on their back for me.
Yeah.
And then it's like, yeah, so it's the two strong guys will do that thing, or it'll be a couple of the smarter people will do the puzzle, whatever it is. Um, this one you actually had 15 minutes. In the past, it was like you have as much as you want, but you only get one guess, kind of thing.
Yeah. Exactly.
But it's like things like this, I think we don't need. You know, just like I was saying with the Ship Wheel Island, the last couple seasons is like, I didn't need any more of that. They changed it a little bit, but it still doesn't feel
I
like
think if you keep one, I think it's fine. But yeah, I'd be much more interested in just seeing the tribe dynamics naturally and organically evolve when people come to the camp, building a shelter, going off in different directions to find, prawn ponds or whatever the heck, to like
palm
collecting
fronds.
sticks for. There it is. Like, I think, and then relationships just naturally developing. Like, that stuff is much more interesting than two people staring at a hanging ball and figuring out how many rings there are.
Right.
It just doesn't make for interesting television. I mean, maybe in the 20s to 30s era season of Survivor, but like in the 40s, come on now.
Uh, where are the little whatchamacallits for the kids to find? The little puzzles.
They scrapped that.
Where are they?
One season or two seasons, and they're just like, nah, we're not doing this anymore.
Yeah, you know one thing I do think was a nice change is that they didn't go heavy on the flashbacks, which is what it was kind of like. It was getting like a little too much the
Yeah.
flashbacks the last couple seasons, and a big criticism for like casting in general was like everybody has to have like a tragic backstory, or it's always some sort of like sob story to like you're supposed to love this person or they've been through this hardship, whether it's like a childhood thing or a disease or they lost their family member. There's always something like that.
Well,
And
and honestly, Zach, the past couple of seasons for me, it's like I would look at my wife and I'd be like, why in the world would I try and like put another audition tape out there? Because I've already submitted one. Why would I submit another? I can't compete with these people.
yeah,
Like this person climbed up Mount Everest twice, and they, uh, survived cancer 3.5 times. Like these are
right.
crazy stories, and I'm just this dude over here
Yeah.
doing my thing.
And it seems
Like
like
I
they
feel like I have a
changed.
compelling story, but
It seems like they changed
yeah,
that with the season. Like, you know, there was only one flashback I think it was for Matthew maybe. But other than that, it was all just like what they're doing on the island. It wasn't like about this is people have their motivations, but it's not like, um, it's like everybody's got a tragic backstory kind of thing.
yeah, and I appreciated that.
Because I remember like Rob and Steven, Rob Cisternino and Steven Fishback talking about it on their podcasts, where it's like we wouldn't even be casted now. Like we don't have a
No,
backstory. What is it? Like
no, and I think you look at like Tony. He's just a cop in New York, right? Like, but he's one of the most entertaining people to have ever played
mhm.
Survivor, and he's been very forward in saying like in Final Tribal, in the Winners of War, he's like, I'm boring. I go home. I don't go out. I'm just at home with my family, right? He doesn't have a compelling backstory.
Mhm.
So I mean,
Yeah.
I think it plays it up too much. Like you have, like as you were saying, you have to be this magical fairy tale person to get on Survivor nowadays. And I feel like if you look at the history of Survivor, some of the most memorable contestants are the people that lived pretty ordinary lives.
Yeah. So far, it seems like we're in the right direction with this cast, because there's some that seemingly don't
Yeah.
have any. Just like Carson's just like this young nerdy guy, right? Isn't that his
I mean,
thing?
he's like gonna fly to the moon someday because he's like,
He's a NASA
works for
engineer,
NASA
right?
or whatever. But,
But it's
but
just
yeah,
their
I mean, he's just
profession,
a
you
chill
know.
dude.
There was a lot of professions where it was like, okay, whatever. But there's nothing really stand out about their backstory, and I like that because you go out there and it speaks for itself. You know, Survivor is like
Yeah,
people go out there and they can be different than who they are in real life, and it's like
that's exactly right.
I like seeing just how they are when they come out here to change. People get to come alive. They don't have to worry about the stuff back home. You know, you can obviously
Yeah,
they're gonna be motivated. It's like I'm here for my family. You know, it's all about
yeah,
family stuff like that. But it's not like your defining characteristic is like I'm this survivor. I'm this and that. You know, I like it. I like this. This
yeah.
cast is nice. Hopefully, it's a good. Seems like it'll be a good season.
Oh yeah, I think so. I think so.
I don't know if we're forgetting anything else. There was a lot packed in the 2 hour premiere here.
I think the only other thing that's probably worth mentioning is that we have a potential showmance on our hands for the first time in a while.
That's true. Jeff teased that like before the season. He said there will be a showmance this season, and now we've got this.
Which could be dead in the water,
Well,
but
we've got this
after an
preview.
episode,
I mean, it's gotta be Maddie and Matt, right? Or I mean, what was her name? Franny.
Matt and Lanny or something like that.
Franny.
What the heck is
Franny.
Franny?
Matt and Franny.
Yeah,
It's gotta be them. I mean, this. If you're
two
gonna tease
nerds.
a
Ugh.
showmance, it's gotta be the one that's like introduced early on. Otherwise, you're like spoiling it. Like we're waiting for showmance 8 episodes in, so it's gotta be them.
Yeah.
Also, is that kind of like? Is that kind of like spoiled that they both go pretty far at least? Because it's not. Would you really say, oh, it's a showmance if they like one of them gets voted out in a couple episodes? I don't
I
know.
don't think Jeff would tease a showmance if there's just one like 2 minute interaction during an edit that they go off like, "Whoa, we're cute," and they might kiss each other on the cheek or whatever, right? I would like to think that they're at least making it to the merge,
Yeah,
maybe,
maybe for
right?
sure. I would think so. But that'll be interesting. I want to see like we never really see a showmance go completely like unknown, like covert showmance, like keep it completely secret, work together the whole time, but do secret kisses or something, you know.
Oh yeah,
I want to see
yeah,
that. You don't see it. It always ends up being like, oh, look at those two together again, and that's just immediately what they become. Like in the early seasons, we don't really have Modern Survivor doesn't really have showmances like that. And
not really. And I think they both seem like wholesome people, like just fun
mhm,
nerds, just doing things out there on Survivor. So, I'm here for it. Whatever, be fun.
yeah, but it's a fun group here. Carolyn is a wackadoodle. I'll just say that.
Zach, if ever I was gonna walk away from an episode of Survivor and say I can definitely do this, it's the cold opening where she had no idea what to say when the producer was asking her to literally just introduce herself. Well, you know what? I can do this. I can do this.
And then her just blowing the challenge and like making noises and being weird, and it starts taking her pants off, like her pants are holding her back from throwing the thing. I don't know what's
And then
going on.
confessing she peed her pants after a challenge? Like what?
She's weird.
Just
She
very bizarre
she
character.
said something to like Helen, I think, at some point where she's like, I think everybody thinks I'm weird or something, and she's like, no, yeah, it's yeah,
You are.
That's the person where I think that's the difference between, the person who goes to the end and gets your votes and what Gabler is. Because I don't, they're not in the same category. You know, I clearly see her as just a character.
No.
I don't see her winning at all. I'd be surprised.
No.
I immediately was turned off from her because in the preseason, she was citing like when they asked what people do you relate to the most, what previous survivors, she named Nora and Debbie, who are both
Oh,
kind of
Debbie, like
out there.
yeah, they are.
Yeah, Nora was Island of the
Interesting.
Idols. She got to the final tribal, got no votes because she just really didn't have a self awareness, and this is
Yeah, I don't see
very
Carolyn
similar.
having any kind of self-awareness either.
I mean,
Yeah.
she said she's known to people who think she's weird and stuff. She knows that much. We'll see. Maybe it'll be
We
another
shall
like even
see.
more surprising result. Carolyn is the winner.
No, not a chance. No chance.
Let's see. All right, let's do a quick draft. All right, we got a nice,
All right.
interesting perspective where we got a little tease of them in the first episode.
Okay.
And since we should have mentioned that because of Gabler, you won the thing. You won that draft.
Did I really? I
Yeah.
totally forgot. I don't even remember who I drafted. You could have lied to me and said because you had Gabler. I don't even
I
remember.
don't remember our picks either, but I I know that I did not pick Gabler though.
Wow. All right,
So
so we're 1 for 1, I think, at this point,
no, I'm
right?
2 for 1. I got Erica and
2 for 1.
Marianne. You got Gabler.
Oh,
All right.
gosh, yeah, I forgot that we even did 41.
It's the new era.
Um,
All right.
yeah.
It's the new
Okay.
era
Okay.
drafts. So since you're the previous winner, you should pick who gets to go first here.
All right. Well, I'm going with Helen Lee. I mean, she just
All right.
crushed that savvy challenge right away, and yeah, Helen, bright, quick on her feet. I think she's gonna be the sole survivor.
I'm gonna go with Claire. Okay, she was not super present in the episode, but she had that smart comment over to Matthew, and I think that's gonna be a little thing we look back on as the first sign of her greatness, and as the winner of the season.
Okay. Yeah, I could see it. I could see it. All right. Well, then I'm gonna go with. Who do I want to go with next? I'm gonna take Matthew. I'm gonna take a little bit of a risk. He's got
Mm-hmm.
an injury, but he's a hometown boy. We're both from Ohio, so
All right, I could
he's
see him doing
he's a
it.
barbershop owner. My mom's a hairstylist. We just got a connection here. So
Well, I'm gonna go with Lauren. All right, she got that bank your
okay,
vote. People are on to her that she lied, but hopefully it doesn't come back to bite her.
okay. Then I'm going to go with where is she? Sarah Wade.
Yeah, she's a good one. All right, well, I'm gonna pick I think one of the showmans, and
Uh-oh.
this history of showmances. One of them has to fall right at some point at least.
That's right.
And you would think that once one goes, then maybe the other one has a good chance at least. I don't know.
You never know. I mean, because they might always just say, "Well, you rode the coattails of this person the entire game," you know.
I'm
So I don't know.
gonna go with Franny. All right.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Josh Wilder.
Josh, we didn't get much of him. He was very, very underedited in this episode.
He was,
So that's
yeah.
concerning. That's concerning for a winner, but maybe they'll surprise us.
You never know. I feel like Erica was pretty under-edited too, or edited heavily, depending on how you look at it early on.
Yeah, she was edited out. That's right.
Pretty much. Yeah, just yeah.
um,
Okay.
I'm gonna go with Brandon. All right. I think
Hmm.
Brandon.
Okay.
I could see him like turning it around and this being like a really. I mean, that would be a historic. He's also, I think, the first person to successfully like use an idol, the first tribal council, to nullify
Really?
votes. And also, it's very rare nowadays that even an idol has been played successfully. Period. Like you just don't see it.
It's true.
It's been a while.
I thought he wasted it. I didn't think he need to, and then he got two votes on him, so it was good play. All right, I'm gonna go with Kane Fritzler. Big Rick Devens vibes with this guy, even though he's 25 and he looks at least like he's in his 30s. I'm sorry, Kane, but he's a law student, and I could see it.
He's interesting. He seems like he's just like kind of from the little bit of interactions we saw, he just like seems to tell people how it is. Just like he's blunt about things. He's just
Yeah.
like I need to think about this for a little bit. Hold on. I like it. There's like it doesn't seem to be much subtlety there. It'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
But I like him. Damn. See,
Only a few left.
well, I'll talk about it when I'm done. But there's some people that significantly changed from when I watched them on the episode. I'll go with Matt. You know, let me hedge my bets. let me hedge my bets on the showmance here.
Okay.
Like, what if one of them has a success story? Maybe I'll get one of them there.
That's good. That's good. I was gonna go with Matt next. Kind of between two here. I'm gonna go with Heidi. I'm
Heidi.
gonna go with Heidi next. Yeah.
I almost forget about
She's
her.
a big CrossFit person. Big
is.
CrossFit person. So
She is, and she went out and made that fire, which is like a weird flex in the new era, right? Like, shouldn't you not want to show that you're so good at making fire?
yeah,
That's so many
not
people will
not something you
remember.
probably want to do.
Like her, she was like
Yeah.
so quick with it, like instantly made fire, and that's
Hmm.
like you're an asset to your tribe, but like people are not gonna forget when you get down to the freaking final five, and it's like you really want her around making fire.
Yeah, I don't know.
All right, I'm gonna go with Danny, the firefighter.
That was the guy I was gonna take next. Yeah, good pick. Good pick. Who do we got left? So we got Carson left. Yam Yam left. Carolyn. Um, I'll go with Carson. I think he would be the youngest winner ever, right at 20. It's got to be younger than Fabio.
I think so. I think that would be the youngest.
Yeah, so I'm gonna go with Carson.
All right, well then I'm going. How many are left? Is there just two?
So we have
Three. I think.
Carolyn, Jamie. Is that it? And
Yam
Yanya?
Yam.
No, Carolyn, Jamie. Yeah, Yam Yam.
So
Pick your poison.
I'm gonna go with Yam Yam.
Yeah, he's great.
All right.
He had a lot of confessionals this time.
Right.
That first episode.
What are you going with? I know it's.
Um,
I know it's hard.
I think. I mean, I see no reality where Carolyn wins. I could see her going to the end, but there's just no way they turn this around. And can you imagine they cold open the season with Carolyn where she doesn't even know how to do her introductory confessional and then she ends up winning?
Right.
How savage of an edit by the Survivor producers. Like,
We've never seen anything the likes of that. That's the thing.
yeah, no,
We don't get enough flawed like winners nowadays. You know, you might
No.
under edit you, but they're not gonna show super weak moments like they used to. Like the worst they showed from Gabler is when he put palm fronds on people when they were sleeping, and people are like, "That's weird. You're disturbing me. You're waking me up."
yeah.
But all right. So I got Carolyn. You got Jamie, right?
Yep.
See, Jamie was one that was very high on my draft pick when I did with my family before seeing the first episode. And now seeing the first episode, I don't think she's horrible, but I think because of how horribly the editors did her, then that's an indication to me that like you wouldn't do your winner like that because you literally made it seem like she was doing like more
Clueless.
stupid move, than it actually was.
But maybe they do that to play up the fact that she is clueless, even though she's not, 'cause she's actually playing the game really well, and she actually goes all the way and wins.
There's no way because you could easily be like she's the first successful shot in the dark user, and she did it like because her name was actually coming up, and she's the winner. But
You never know.
Can we retire shot in the dark now? How do you feel?
Yeah, I mean, now it was played successfully. You know, whoever
Let it go.
wanted that idea in the Survivor boardroom, the box has been checked. Let's move on.
Well, I don't think we'll ever move on. You know, I mean, I could see myself if I was in the situation using it like potentially Matthew used it to like not have to vote because I'm never gonna like
Mm-hmm.
bank on in my strategy needing a 1 in 6 chance to survive. Possibly sometime it's like a possible 1 in 6 immunity idol. That's not any use to me. So maybe
I don't
using
like
it
those
like
odds.
that would be better. But still, you use it once, it's gone. So
Mm-hmm.
and I just don't like it. Like if that was successful and she did have the most votes, and then just someone gets sent home at random because of the 1 in 6 chance, I wouldn't have liked that.
Mm-mm.
But I don't know. I'm excited. All right, so it's winner take all for the draft here. I've got
Mm-hmm.
Claire, Lauren, Franny, Brandon, Matt, Danny, Yam Yam, and Carolyn. And you've got Helen, Matthew, Sarah, Josh, Kane, Heidi, Carson, and Jamie. All right.
I like that list.
I like my list. I want to see how it shapes up. I mean, we got one episode in, already so much craziness going on. I want to see if this, as much as I don't like the overabundance of advantages, I do want to see how these bird cages shape up in the other two tribes. See
Yeah.
if these fake idols get anybody.
We shall see. Should be good. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thanks for joining me, Rusty. Okay.
Of course. Always a pleasure. Always a pleasure.
Yeah, and
Love talking my Survivor.
if you're new to the channel, I usually do Survivor videos with my co-host Alec, but the difference is he has never seen Survivor before, only the very first seasons, which I've been taking him along chronologically. We're just finishing up Survivor Panama now, so he's seen the first 12 seasons now. But he hasn't seen anything past. He doesn't know anything, so I'm keeping him spoiler free. It's a very unique experience, and hopefully I can keep him that way. Keep him that way for as long as possible, because there's a lot of good stuff
It's good
coming.
stuff. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I can't talk to him about Modern Survivor, right? So
Yeah.
I always say, like, if one of us ends up on Survivor, then no, he can't watch. You can't watch. You have to wait 30 seasons.
Yeah.
catch
I don't know,
up.
man. When I play on Survivor 49 and I'm the sole survivor, I think you might have to make an exception for him.
No way, though. It would ruin everything. It would just like you can't take him from Survivor Panama and just let him watch Survivor 49.
Yeah, but
It's rough.
Rusty's gonna be on the season.
He'd
It's
be
gonna
like,
be
"What?
worth it.
Imagine the whiplash watching this, like the new era. It's like, what is going on here? Freaking bird cages and yeah, random like shot in the dark, all this stuff, inheritance.
Yeah. That would be kind of crazy.
It's
A lot to
jarring.
digest.
One day, what if we're cast on the same season?
That would be
You
wild.
gotta keep it under
That would
wraps.
be,
Right.
yeah. We show up, we're on the same tribe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I gotta act like we don't know each other.
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing, though. They wouldn't like. There's rarely been instances where it's like I've heard of Big Brother, of, like people knowing each other. They didn't know when they cast them. But ours is very public. Like you do a little research, you'll see us together.
Yeah. Well, I might even include a clip of something related to the stuff that we've done before in my audition tape, so they would know
Right.
pretty quickly.
Yeah. All right, well,
But-
they'll just get us. They'll get me on another season after you or something. You know, like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
because of my connection to you, and get me the in
Yeah.
or vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
I need to actually go and apply. I've never applied for real.
It's a nerve-wracking process. You just can't allow the lack of a response from them to get you down. You just got to keep going, and it's kind of the approach I'm taking. I'm looking forward to the second edition tape. I've been kind of working and prepping on what I was going to do for about a year, and I'm looking forward to recording it soon.
Yeah, I'm almost like I don't know how I would do in the actual game, for real. I just
I don't think
imagine
any of us
myself
do.
becoming like super paranoid real quick.
Yeah,
That's the
until you're out
key.
there, you just
The
yeah.
key is to just like even if you are like really paranoid and freaked out, like you just have to act like you're not, or like you trust everything. And sometimes it will just get voted out like early, and because you didn't suspect anything. but oftentimes like you draw more attention to yourself if you do and you're freaking out.
It's a difficult balancing act, that's for
Stuff.
sure.
All right. Well, thank you for watching. Where can people find you if they want more of you?
You can find me on Twitter, ReLewis2011. I'm mostly just talking about video games, the Pittsburgh Steelers, and the hit TV show Lost, which also kind of ties with my love of the game Survivor. You can also find me on all podcasting platforms, the Otaku Brothers podcast, where I talk about video games, TV shows, movies, but mostly video games with my brother-in-law. So it's a good time. We've been doing the show for 5 years, and we always try to make you laugh and just talk about a whole bunch of random things. So yeah, check us out there.
For sure. Sure. All right. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, hit the notification bell, and click the link in the description for our social media. All right.
Mm-hmm.
And arrivederci. Rusty, I forgot. Okay, I forgot. I never forget. I never forget anything. You ask anybody, they'll tell you he never forgets. And I went and forgot. What video would you recommend our viewers watch?
Well, on the subject of Survivor, one of my favorite seasons growing up outside of Pearl Islands was Survivor Palau. I think it's a really fun season, really fun cast, and a Survivor auction to remember for sure. So go check out the first episode, though. Start with the first of Palau, work your way up to the very end. It's good stuff.
Very nice. It's crazy. We've done 8 seasons now of reactions, which is a lot of like pretty much every episode of Survivor. So there's a lot to watch and enjoy. All right.
Palau's a good one.
Check it out.